Hi, I'm Alex from WeDiscover. Today we're going to talk about using external data sources with Google Ads ad customizers. Ad Customizer is a tool that we like to utilize to create manageable and interesting ad copy at scale. At WeDiscover, we prioritize testing dynamic ad copy to develop interesting and engaging ads that reflect a specific user's situation. In this example, we'll be looking at using a third-party weather API to update our ad copy based on current weather conditions for a certain location. We have provided a templated Google Sheet, Google Script, and a step-by-step instruction manual on how to do this. However, this example is merely that. It is just an example. It's not an exhaustive list that is going to be useful for every client, but more an idea that hopefully people can take and use to import their own external data source, their own feeds, their own APIs that will work specifically for their client. An external data source can range from an internal feed or catalog to a third-party API to even using basic functions within Google Sheets to create a constantly updating data source that you can then reference. Effectively, anything that can be updated in Google Sheets can be used as an external data source to update your Google Ad Customizers. So the process we're going to run through today will allow you to create dynamic ads that update based on the current weather for a specific location. Now, the script and sheet that we provide will allow you to do this for a singular location. There are a few small tweaks to the code in the sheet itself will allow you to expand and customize this for your specific needs. Now, in our example, we are running paid search activity for a local attraction based in London. This attraction has both indoor and outdoor activities, so we want to highlight these differently depending on what the weather is doing on that day. For example, if someone searches what to do in London and it is currently raining, we want to say, don't let the rain get you down. We have plenty of indoor activities for the whole family. However, if it's sunny, we want to reflect this and say, come and enjoy London's favourite attraction, the perfect family day out in the sun. Now, to do this using an automated solution, there are 4 simple steps. First, we need to access this data updated from an external source, so using an API. We need to use a Google Sheet to manipulate the data and build an upload sheet. We then need to link with Google Ads so the data is always updated. And finally, we need to create ads that reference these business data tables using ad customizers to make sure our copy is always reflecting the most up-to-date data. So to help you get started with this, we have provided a templated sheet and an associated script. So there will be minimal changes that you need to make to get this up and running in your account. I'll go through step by step of what the script is, how the sheet works, and how to get this linked with Google Ads. So the first thing you're going to need to do is make a copy of the templated sheet. So if you just go File, make a copy, and this will give you an editable version. I'm just using the demo one, so I can use it as it is. And I'll run through now what each sheet does. So to begin with, we have an RSA business data uploader and an ETA business data builder. So Google Ads treats RSAs and ETAs slightly differently when it comes to business data and ad customizers. So that just means that we need a different sheet with different column names for each one. But we'll go through that a little bit later when it comes to linking our sheet with Google Ads. The next thing we have is a live data sheet. So this is where our result will be put. So every time we call the API, the main weather descriptor will be placed in this cell A2. So that's going to be clear or snow or cloudy or whatever the weather is in the location that you've picked. The next sheet is location. So this is where we need to make a change. So in cell A2, it comes as standard as London, but we need to put in whatever location we're looking to pull. So I'll leave it as location for now, but whatever you want to pull, we can just overwrite that. The next cell we have is history. So history has 3 columns, and it's effectively a log of each time the script runs. So it will log your date and time that the script ran, it will log the location that you pulled the weather for, and the weather result itself. Now this isn't needed for the ad customizers, but it's a good way of keeping track, to make sure the script is working, and also to keep track of what ads you're showing and when, and then you can compare against your engine data. The final cell we have is our ad copy templates. So we'll go through this in a little bit more detail later, but we have all of the possible results that our script could give us, and then we have an associated ad copy that we want to use in our ad customizers. So to get this to work, we need to access an API that will allow us to put the result into this cell here. And to do this, we need to find an API and log in. So there's multiple APIs that we could use. The one that we'll be using today is openweathermap.org. Now the reason we're using this one is if we go to API, we can see that they have current weather data, which allows us to access the weather for today, which is what we want to do for of 200,000 cities, so we can do that for a specific location. So this fits exactly what we want it for. And then secondly, the reason we want to use this one is if we go to pricing, there is a free option where we can call up to 60 times a minute or 1 million calls per month. In reality, once we're all set up, we'll only be calling once a day per account that we want to run this for, so having this many calls will be easily enough for what we want to do. Now, with this, you need to set up an account, choosing the free version. So this is something I've already done, but all you need to do is just follow the steps from here. Click Get API Key, and it will take you step by step. You will then be given a unique code of letters and numbers as a string, which we'll need to use in our script. So if you just go through that process and get that, and then what we need to do is go into our back into our sheet, and if we go to Tools, Script Editor, we'll open up in a new tab the Google Sheet script that we have provided with the sheet. So I'll go through the sections of what the script is doing. If you are planning to make some changes to the script and make changes to how the script is running, there is a step-by-step, line-by-line description of what the script does within the article, so you can refer to that should you want to know exactly what's going on. But effectively what we're doing is we're here just setting a load of variables for what the key is and the spreadsheet and the location and all those cells and sheets we just spoke for. We're just giving the script access to them. We're then calling our API, so we can see how to do this. If we go to API, API doc, again the API call is here. So if you do want to be making changes, this API doc is very useful, so you can see exactly what can be done with the API. But here we can see we just need to use this URL, we need to add the city name and the API key. So in our script, we've set the key and the city name as variables. So we just need to reference those again in this call. Then what we're doing is we're just getting the result of this API call, so the result of the weather in that location. We're then logging it just so we can review it, and we're also then making it usable by extracting the main weather, so clouds, sun, clear, snow, whatever that is, we want to extract that, and then we're setting that main cell and appending the history as a new row in that history sheet. So all you need to do is go to currentweathermap.org, create an account, get your API key, and paste it between the speech marks here, and then we'll go through the result and how that looks. So now we've got our API key within our sheet. What we want to do is we want to run this, see what the result is, and then we can show what we're doing. So you'll need to go through, first time you run this, you'll need to go through all the authorization. But once you've done that, you should just be able to hit run, and then you'll get this log. So just to show what it's doing, this is the result that we're getting, and then we're extracting. What we're extracting is this small piece here. So main is clouds. However, if you wanted to use something like temperature, we have that, we have visibility, we have wind. We have loads of different metrics here that's associated with the weather. So you can just look through, and if you want to make some changes again, refer to the article that will show some of the changes you can make. If we go back into our script, we can now see that our main cell A2 has been updated with clouds. So this is using the location of London. What I can do, just to show you how to do it, if I wanted to change this to New York, all I need to do is override that. I can come here, hit run again. We'll see that the name of the location has been updated to New York. We can have a look what the live data is. It's clouds as well. So same weather for location and for London and New York. But just to show, if you're having an error here, for example, there are a few different ways that you can reference city names. So you could do London, England, that still works. London in the United Kingdom works. What you may do is you may get an error. If you're getting an error, for example, if I go to put London but I get rid of the N, and I run this function, I'm going to get an error here. So request failed, it recorded at 404, so city not found. This is because I've got a spelling mistake here. However, it may be that you're using the wrong denotation for the location. So what you can do again is go to the API doc, and it has calling city by name. So you can just refer to this and find out exactly what issue is happening and try a few other things. But if I just change this back to London, cool. And if I run this, we're going to have clouds. And then just to show the history tab, each time we've ran it, we've got London clouds, New York clouds, London clouds. Cool. So by just updating that, we should now have the ability to pull in the current weather. And what we want to do with this script is we want this to update on a daily basis. So to do this is relatively easy. All we need to do is hit the triggers, the little clock down here on the left. This will open up a new tab. So all we need to do is create a new trigger. So add trigger. Make sure it's the function that we want, which in this case we've only got one function, so it's get latest data. And then we want to select event source. So we want to do it time driven because we want this to happen every day. And then select type of time-based trigger. We're going to do daily. You could do it less often, more often if you wanted to, but for us, we're going to update our ads every morning to reflect what the weather is that day. So we're just going to do day timer, and then select a time. We are going to say, let's say 7 to 8 a.m. So it's updated in the morning, and then we can just click save. Perfect. So this should now upload or update every day. So I can now close this. So each morning, this script will run. We should get a new row appended every morning, and this should be updated to the live data. You may notice if you're using the legacy script editor, it may look a little bit different. The trigger will be here, but there shouldn't be too many changes that you need to make. We now have a constantly updating main weather function. So this will be update once a day, and it will tell us what the weather is for our chosen location. Now that we've got this data, we need to make sure that it's in a condition that Google Ads can use as business data. So what we could do is we could write some ad copy that simply references this result. So it could just say the weather today is clouds, the weather today is clear. But that's not particularly useful, doesn't add much value to an account. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this result as a trigger for some ad copy templates. So we've pre-built this ad copy template sheet, which has all of our possible results and then an associated ad copy description. You could change this to be a headline, you could change this to be whatever you wanted it to be, and obviously these would need to update for your specific account. So because we're pulling the weather description main, we only have a limited results. So we can check this by going to our API list again, and we can look at the list of weather condition codes, and we can see that we're pulling main, so we have the result could be thunderstorm, it could be drizzle, rain, snow, a list of atmosphere ones such as mist, smoke, etc., and then clear and clouds. So we have a finite list, and that means that we can just build a description that refers exactly to one result. So for clear, we've got enjoy the sun. For cloudy, we've got a more generic whatever the weather, and then we've got some rain examples for when it's wet, and then we've got a snow one, and then we do have these atmosphere ones, which for many of these you probably won't expect the weather to pull in, especially for London, something like tornado or ash. However, if we didn't have these, if we only included descriptions for the main ones, should this result happen through the script, what you would get is you would get an NA result in here. So it would just say NA, and your ad copy would reflect that, and that wouldn't look particularly good. So what you need to do is make sure that you have every eventuality covered. Relatively easy when we only have 16 descriptions or 16 possible results, but you may have done something to change the script where you're using temperature. And if you're using something like temperature, then you may need to use some logic to say that if the temperature is less than X, this should be the ad copy. If the temperature is between X and Y, this is the ad copy. If the temperature is greater than Y, this is the ad copy. So depending on what you've done here, you may need to make some tweaks to this stage. But for us, we know that the result is always going to be within one of these 16. So we just have these results. Now that we've got this, we want to make sure that we can build business data that can be used by Google Ads. So to begin with, we have this ETA business data builder. Now this has got 3 columns, and it's pulling in the location. So this is pulling directly from our location cell here. So if we change this, that will reflect. Similarly, this is pulling our result. So should the weather change and our script change this, this will be reflected here. And then this is using a lookup. So it's looking up this weather condition in our ad templates, and it's pulling the result from here. So in this example, it's taking clouds and it's pulling the perfect day or whatever the weather. If our live data, which we can override here, was actually snow, this should update to say wrap up warm and come down to our winter wonderland. So that looks like it's working. What we also have is we have an RSA builder. As I said at the start, ETAs and RSAs act slightly differently in Google Ads. When we go through the setup within Google Ads, we'll refer to this a little bit longer, but it just means that we need two sheets. Now the RSA is that all it's doing is referencing the result here. So it's just whatever's in this cell, it's going to pull through. If you're planning to only use RSAs, because obviously Google have recently announced that ETAs will be sunsetted next year, then you'll still want to keep this ETA builder, because this is doing the VLOOKUP function and doing the work, and it's best just to keep it here. Because if you delete this, this will just again result to an NA. So just leave this one here, and then you can use the RSA should you want it. We're now in a position where we can link our ad customizers with Google Ads. So as mentioned earlier, if we're doing RSAs and ETAs, we're going to have to do an extra step. We'll begin with looking at just RSAs, and we will also focus on ETAs if that's something you want to do, but because ETAs are being sunsetted, RSAs are going to be our core ad type going forward. So what we need to do to begin with is we just need to ensure that RSA Business Data Uploader is the leftmost tab on our ribbon here. We may have moved it during our changes, but we just need to make sure that it is the leftmost. The reason for this is because we're making a direct link with Google Ads. Google Ads is only going to look at the first sheet. So if it is over here, it's not going to look at the things, it's not going to pick up the right titles, so it just needs to be the leftmost. Now, what we need to do is go into our Google Ads, and we need to go to Tools and Settings and Business Data. Here, data feeds is where you would upload the ETAs, so traditionally where you do your ad customizers, but with RSAs, we need to go to Add Customizer Attributes on the left, and then it brings us this table. And what we need to do is create a new one. So I think the easiest way of doing it and the safest way of doing it is creating the first slot manually and then creating an upload schedule. So what we need to do is we have attribute and we have data type. These correspond with columns in our sheet. So we have attribute, which we're just going to copy this. We've named it RSA weather ad copy. If you wanted to name it something else, you would just need to update it here, but just ensure that whatever is in the sheet is reflected in your ad customizer attribute. We then need to set the data types. The availables are text, number, price, and percent. For this example, ours is text, but if you were doing something different, you may want to do number, price, or percent, but we're going to stick to text. And then what we can do is hit create. And now we have an empty ad customizer. So what we need to change is the account value. So again, if we click edit, and we want to come in here, and we can just take the static value of, for us at the moment it's cloudy, so we're just taking the static value that associates with that, and we just paste that in. And then we hit save. So this is now built. We could now reference this in our ads. However, this is going to be static. There's going to be no updates. So when our script updates, at this point, this isn't going to change. So what we need to do is link them. So if we again go to Tools and Settings, and then we go to Uploads, and then we want to go to Schedules. So if we go to Schedules and we select New, and we need to give it a schedule name, so I'm going to call ours is the WeDiscover account, so WD RSA Weather Ad Customizers, and then we need to select a source. So what we're going to do is do Google Sheets, and then what we need to do is we need to link the sheet itself. So if we click here, we go and find the sheet, so mine's in the shared, and then we search, so I know all mine contains demo, and it's this one. Yeah, that's the correct one. So I'm going to link this. Then what we need to do is we need to link this email address as if you're sharing it with a person. So I will Control-C this, and if we go into here and we hit our share, add people, and we add email name, and then we send it. What we can do from here is we need to select the frequency. So ours is going to be every 24 hours. We're doing it on a daily basis. This is a limitation, is that it is, if you wanted to do different hours, you'd have to set up multiple uploads running at different times. So we could do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, if that's what we want to do, but daily is enough for us. So we're going to do every 24 hours. And if we remember, our sheet is uploading between 8 and 9, so we're going to go 9 AM. You may want to change your trigger time based on when you're uploading it. For this example, 9 is going to be fine, but you may find that actually you want your ads to update at 7 a.m. So then you'll just need to make sure your trigger in your sheet is firing earlier than that. So then we can leave it as campaigns, and then we can go to this account, and then we can click save. So this hasn't ran yet, we can't preview it, but what you can also do is you could do a singular upload, follow the exact same method as we've done there, and just see if it works. And you can preview that and see if there's any errors. So now we've done RSAs, we'll go through ETAs, which perform slightly differently. So as I've mentioned, we need to have the first sheet needs to be linked to Google Ads. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to link our RSAs and then make the following changes, which is going to break our RSA uploader. So the first thing we want to do here is make a copy. So if I file, make a copy, if I change this, I'm just going to put ETA at the start and then click OK. I can close this one. What's worth noting is that when we make a copy, our triggers on our Google script is going to stop working. So if you are doing both RSAs and ETAs, what we need to do is go back into Tools, Script Editor, and create a new trigger. So I won't go through the whole process now, but as you can see, there's no trigger here. So you will need to do that step again. But we've already covered that, so just review that piece of the video or article if you need to do that. So for ETAs, we no longer need this RSA. It's not doing anything, it's just in the way, so we can delete this and make sure we are on the ETA one. Remember, if you're just doing RSAs, you don't want to delete the ETA builder because this is building. The RSA one is only uploading for that ad type. So we now have this ETA builder that is referencing all of our data and is updating. What's key is here we've got location and weather. We don't actually need this. This is just supplementary that I've put in so that if we were to future-proof ourselves for if we're going to do separate locations, we could do that. I'm going to leave these in because they're not causing any harm, but it's just worth noting you don't really need them. You could just have a simple weather ad copy if you wanted to. So we're going to go through the steps of uploading an ETA ad customizer. So it begins with very similar. Go to Tools and Settings, Business Data. But here, rather than going to add customizer attributes, we're just staying in our data feeds, selecting a new, add customizer data. Now, the difference here is that we're not creating this in the interface itself. We need to upload a file. So what we want to do is go to our ETA one, go File, Download, and download CSV. So CSV is going to be current sheets. We want to make sure that we are on the ETA builder, and we also want to make sure that the ETA builder is the furthest to the left for when we make that link later on. So we're going to download this as a CSV, and that has started to download. So we should now be able to go back into here, give this a name. I'm going to keep it WeDiscover because that's the account we're in, and I'll go weather ad, and then select a file from the computer. So it should be in downloads if I just search ETA demo. If I open this, it should be uploaded, so now I can preview it. Lovely, so it's pulling in our location, our weather ad copy, so I can apply that. Now, same as before, so we can just click on this and check. Same as before, with our RSAs, this is static at the moment, it's not referencing. We can change it manually if we want to, but obviously the idea of this script is that it's going to be uploading automatically. So what we need to do now is just make sure our ETAs are updating the same as our RSAs are. So we have to do this slightly differently in ETAs. What we need to do is be in business data, so Tools, Business Data, and then we need to select the Add Customizer table that we've just created. So in this case, it's the only one we have, WD or Weather Ad. If we click on this, we can see what the business data table looks like in real life. So what we need to do now is just edit the schedule. So on the left here, go down to Schedules, New Schedule, select Source, again Google Sheets, and then we need to do the same as we did with the RSA. So if we find the correct sheet, remembering this time that we've created a new sheet and appending ETA to it. So we just find the demo sheet that I've used, and then what we need to do is share, again, this access with Google Ads. So if I just go back to our sheet, share, add that. and then go back to our schedules. And what we want to do is just schedule it for as often as we can. So in this case, it's every 6 hours. So that means that every 6 hours this will update. So slightly differently again to RSAs where you select on the hour. And once we've done that, we can just hit save. So the very final step is just to reference those ad customizers within an ad. So what we need to do is go into the correct campaign within our things to do London ad group, and if we go to our ads, we've built a couple of templates. So if we do our ETA first, as you can see, I've currently just put a placeholder of AC for ad customizer in here as a reminder. But all I need to do is hit our curly bracket, and then we have the options here of keyword insertion, countdown, ad customizer, or if function. We'll be using an ad customizer, and we'll be using our weather ad, and we'll be using the weather ad copy. We could, if we wanted to, change our location here, which says London, and turn this into an ad customizer as well, and just reference this cell, so just the London, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to leave it static as we're only targeting London, but there's multiple opportunities to update this to see how you'd like to use it. But we can see now in the preview that we have our ad customizer ad variation pulling through. So I can hit save. One thing to note is you can also add a fallback, which I haven't done. The reason I haven't added a fallback is because we've effectively got all the possible location or descriptions that could result of our script, and they're all within character limits. So at no point are we going to have an over the character limit description. But if you wanted to, or if you're using this in a slightly different way, you could also add a fallback. And then for RSAs, a very similar process. If we just hit edit, and then in here, it's worth noting that if obviously the recommendation is to have a lot of headlines and descriptions. This is just an example, so currently we only have 3 headlines and 2 descriptions. If you're running an RSA, you need to have at least 2 descriptions that have either static or fallback text. So in this occasion, I've just added a very small description for this example, but you may want to add a fallback to your RSAs, even if you're not planning to use it, if you've done it the same way as us. But just something to note. So follow the same process of hitting curly bracket, and then add customizer, and then this time it gives us a drop-down list where we can choose any. For us, we only have the one, so we have the RSA weather copy text. So hit there, hit apply, and then this should update. We'll have to, maybe a few different ones. The perfect London day out, whatever the weather, that is referencing our ad customizers. So we can click save, and that is a fully functioning weather-based ad copy using ad customizers, a third-party API, and Google Sheets. If you do have any questions on the process, if you're keen to learn more and want to get in touch, please just reach out to myself or anyone of the WeDiscover team. Thank you.